The South China Sea, a marginal sea of the western Pacific Ocean, rich in oil, gas, and fisheries, may seem calm on the surface, but beneath the waves, the tension is rising.
Since 1952, Beijing has claimed virtually the entire sea, everything inside what's referred to as the Nine Dash Line. In 2023, China added a 10th dash off Taiwan. The Philippines, Malaysia, Taiwan, and Vietnam all reject China's claims.
China is pushing for dominance. This is the moment a Chinese Coast Guard member went at the crew of a Filipino naval vessel with an axe.
Malaysia punya isu dengan semua negara jiran.
First, Malaysian state energy firm Petronas will continue its oil and gas exploration activities in the South China Sea.
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 In the South China Sea.
South China Sea.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and hello. Welcome back to the second episode of the Sembang Antarabangsa International Relations Society podcast, where we will be exploring a plethora of international relations related issues, topics, and the articles that were posted by our own IRSOC members. So, this episode is not like the pilot episode. In particular, this time around, we actually have a guest that we have brought forth to communicate and to talk about all the things that not only he taught to us as his students back in semester 2 for me, semester 4 now, but also other things that his expertise lays on. And so this lecturer, I will introduce to you, his name is Dr. Lam Chung Wa, and is a senior lecturer at the Department of International Relations, International Strategic Studies in University Malaya at the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences. So Dr. Lam has a bachelor's degree, surprisingly, a bachelor's degree in engineering, not international relations and not social sciences, aerospace engineering to be exact, and also a Doctor of Law in International Relations at Xiamen University, which is in China, isn't it?
Correct.
So there you can already see studying international relations internationally in China, abroad. So yeah, it's an experience that we hope to share in the future. I hope to study international relations abroad too for my PhD, and I think Isakit will do the same as well. Don't you think so?
Hopefully,
yeah. Very interesting and very exciting prospect.
Definitely you will have a chance. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that.
Definitely looking forward to it.
Because there are a lot of scholarships out there.
Yeah.
Waiting for you to apply on it.
Yeah. We're exploring options.
Yeah.
Of course, before we continue upon the podcast itself, I just want to say how surprising it is, Doctor, that you went from, let's explore something about you first, Doctor. How do you go from bachelor's degree in engineering and aerospace engineering to this, international relations? What shifted in between?
Just due to several reasons, and just because of I came from a science background, and also I did I completed my science stream education at my secondary school, and then continue my study at the University of Science Malaysia, which specializes in aerospace engineering. But however, after I finished my study and I graduated, I worked at a factory, and that factory, for 1 year over there, I spent a year over there, and within the year, I thought a lot, and thought that review my career path and also my future, and whether want to continue my work at the factory, which is quite boring actually. What you need to do daily is you have to fix and maintain the machines at operational level. That's it. And the good your partners are actually machines, not people. And that's why I decided to switch. And I love to talk to people, and then I love to research on people and political behavior, things like that. And machines' behavior are all predicted, and they are mindless also. So I don't think I want to spend my entire life, the rest of my life in factory.
Yeah.
And I want to talk to people. That's why I switched. I switched to study to pursue my master degree at the University of Malaysia. Then further study in China abroad, to complete my PhD degree in IR. Yeah, but actually my first degree also related to IR also, because what I study was aerospace engineering, and I was taught how to build and design aircraft, and not only aircraft and also satellite, as well as combat aircraft. And our lecturers came from Russia, and during that time professors, lecturers came from Russia, and they taught us about the most advanced Russian aerospace technology. So I still remember their name, Professor Igor, Professor Yuri, and learned a little bit Russian over there. And because they taught us in English, but I still remember one of my professors, he said that, yeah, this is your loss if you don't know Russian, because it is difficult for them to translate the Russian material into English and to convey the knowledge to us through English. So it is good that if we all learn Russian language, then he can convey all the knowledge to us directly, not through the medium of translation. So at the end of the day, I attended a couple of classes of Russian language, but I did not manage to learn it because I'm already too old to learn a new language. Yeah, impossible. So I gave up. But that is how I been through. And then I joined journalism. Then I switched to think tank. Then I further study at Sembang University to learn about international relations, and also why I chose China, because as we all have seen that China has already become the biggest superpower now, and in terms of economic power, and also PPP and position power parity, China has already overtaken America as the first economic power. So I can foresee that within the next few decades, China will be center of the IR. So in order to know what the Chinese leadership thinks, and to know what the think tank and their scholars think about their future, the policy, that's why I chose China instead of Western countries, because actually I also got the chances to go to Western countries like Australia, Singapore, and some other parts, but I still decided to choose China because they represented the future. Yeah.
I see. China is an interesting choice indeed, and we actually have student exchanges that are for students to go to China, right? And among those universities, interestingly, if I'm not mistaken, is Sembang University. So regardless, China, as you have stated, is a rising power, and not just a rising power, it's probably the second half of the world now, some may say. And one thing that China has been involved in, and which I think is something that you have certainly studied and have taught us about, is the South China Sea, the dispute that has happened in the South China Sea. So let's, start with the basics. For our audience who may not follow this issue very closely, why is the South China Sea such a crucial geopolitical hotspot? Why?
Why it became a hotspot, and also even some people claim that it is maybe a future flashpoint for Southeast Asian countries. I think this comes from several angles. First, actually, it is a hip-hop topic. If you and I all are Malaysians, do you sense that the situation over there is very, very tense or very, very dangerous? I think none of us feel that the situation over there is very tense, no, or very tense, or some kind of the armed conflicts are going to happen or to take place. No, we don't feel that. But when you look at Western media, you certainly immediately feel that kind of security threats, security dilemma come out from their news articles and analysis also. So there is a disparity between two things. One is reality, another one is the narrative. So on the Western side, they are trying to hip up the whole issue, saying that yes, Malaysia, Indonesia, Brunei, Philippines, Vietnam, whatever countries, you are facing a threat from China. And then you guys have to hold back together, and then to try to fight China as a one team, something like that. Otherwise, you will be divided and ruled by China if you go to fight China alone. So this is the narrative given by the Western media. But however, when we look at the reality, is that the real thing? I don't think so, because we all have some of the people, they have the first-hand knowledge about South China Sea. Me myself, I went to visit several islands occupied by Malaysia, including Pulau Layang. I personally went there and twice, and several islets over there also, invited by Malaysian Armed Forces, and I went there together with Malaysian Armed Forces also. And with my first-hand knowledge I gotten from a Malaysian Armed Forces over there, who stationed there for years, not days. They told us that the situation over there sometimes are unclear, sometimes are okay, it's stable. Why they say that? Sometimes are unclear because sometimes you will spot unknown ships surrounding around the islands. But those unknown ships, they will not do anything. They just circle around and just leave and depart like that. And the clear thing is the situation is always maintained the same. Nothing happened. And the situation had already been like peaceful for 3 decades. Nothing big thing happened, just like that. So this is the first-hand knowledge I got it. So it's not told by the Western media, not told by some layman. I was told by an armed forces, Pascal actually. So personnel. So that the disparity that we have to differentiate, we have to make clear about that. So we have to. I'm not saying that you have to go to debate Western media or propaganda, things like that. What I wanted to say is we have to have basic knowledge when it comes to South China Sea dispute. And we have to know how to differentiate what is the narrative trying to be promoted by some other parts of the world or the reality. And in order to process that the kind of knowledge, I advise people and also my students, when come to this situation, unclear situations, try to read more and also try to read different sources. And that the Western medias are feeding us a lot of, almost the same narrative, but try to read the other narratives coming from China, coming from Malaysia, coming from Brunei, coming from Indonesia, Vietnam and Philippines. So different stakeholders, they have different narratives. Then after that, we can summarize them. Then we will become our, basic knowledge.
I see. This is something that really revolves around public knowledge, isn't it, Doctor? Something that a lot of us outside of international relations, and even those inside international relations, are often confused about. The importance of South China Sea and whatnot. So we know multiple countries are involved in the overlapping territorial claims. Could you briefly explain who are the main claimants and what their claims are based on?
Okay, we have a list of 5 countries, 1 party. No, I'll rephrase it. We have 5 countries, 2 parties. And 5 countries, namely People's Republics of China, Malaysia, who else? Brunei, Philippines, Vietnam. 5 countries. 2 parties, Republic of China, Taiwan. Another one is the United States of America. So they are the parties who are involved in this South China Sea disputes. And for those 5 countries, yes, they have already tabled their claims in at the international level, at the regional level, at domestic level, whatever levels they are. And other than that, Republic of China, Taiwan, they also stable their claim as well. And due to the fact that Malaysia and other countries like Singapore and also we don't recognize Taiwan as a sovereign country, we chose to ignore their claim only. But it doesn't mean that their claim is not there. Their claim is still there. And People's Republic of China, PRC, they inherited the claim from ROC, Republic of China. They used the claim from ROC and then they modified a little bit. That became the basic of the Beijing's claim. But what about at the United States? The United States is a very, very important key player in this dispute. Why? Because it supported nearly all of the Southeast Asian claimants in this sense. First of all, America is a treaty ally to Philippines, and they supported the Philippines in terms of capacity building and as well as military training, and also to enhance their interoperability between these two armed forces. So they are a kind of a big player in this sense. And secondly, America actually they supported Malaysia and supported Vietnam and also Brunei, like by capacity building. From time to time, we have joint and multilateral or bilateral military exercises with America in South China Sea. For example, like yearly, every year, Malaysia have a current military exercise with America, and that particular exercise is to train our Malaysian armed forces how to attack and also to occupy or to capture back islands. So when you listen to these objectives and these themes, then definitely you can relate it to South China Sea issues, because America they are training us how to protect our islands, how to capture it back when it is occupied by our enemy, something like that. So we are receiving a lot of capacity building assistance from America. So when you ask me how many countries got involved, so I will say that at least 5 countries, 2 parties. Yeah, definitely there are some more parties out there who show their keen interest. For example, like Japan. Japan actually they are involving in this South China Sea dispute deeply, and actually they were one of the claimants way back to before Second World War. And also France and also the United Kingdom, and the United Kingdom and also France, they were also part of the claimants also. And the United Kingdom, they dropped their claim in 1974, and France they dropped their claim in 1970s, but they put their claim in silent in 1956 onwards, and finally they dropped it in 1970s. So they are also considered the main stakeholders. And why France and also UK, they are important? Because as a historical background, Vietnam, they claim that their basic of the claim, they got it from France. So that's why they say that South China Sea belong to them, because France way back to nearly 100 years ago occupied those islands. So since France already occupied those islands, then me as the successors of the Vietnam country, I have the right to claim what France had already occupied before. This is what they claim. And for the United Kingdom also, they are very important. So at one point of time, the UK was the first modern country who laid a claim on the South China Sea islands. Was the first and modern country. Way back to 1879, something like that. Yeah, they lay claim on 2 important islands, Spratly Island. Second is Ambonai Cay. So they lay claim on these 2 islands, and those claims were laid by British colonial power stationed on Labuan Island, which is part of Malaysia right now. Okay. So Malaysia at one point of time, we we have considered this option that since UK laid the claim on a Spratly Island and Ambonai Cay based on their colonial power and authority on Labuan Island, so can Malaysia use this as a basic to lay claim on Spratly Island and also Ambonai Cay? And this is one of the options Malaysia explore. And in the past, we did send some historians to go to UK National Archive to look for those important historical papers, to look at whether they still they left any important papers or documents that can be utilized by our government to enhance, to strengthen our claim on those islands. They did that. And but unfortunately, our Wisma Putra, they said that a couple years ago, 2015 or 2016, something like that. Unfortunately, they could not find any document from the UK National Archive. But this is the one of the options. But we Malaysia opted for another option. So yeah.
I see. So South China Sea is more than just the region itself. Even countries that are outside of the region has affected claims on the region. Is that true?
Correct. So that's why the France President Macron, he just visited Vietnam recently.
Yeah.
So I heard that when France is supporting Vietnam on a South China Sea claim, and they're providing a lot of archival support also, because way back to 100 years ago, France was quite active in this area, and then they have produced and left a lot of documents. So they are supporting France in this sense, because in 1933, France they declared that they occupied 9 South China Sea islands, and that's why that Vietnam say that since France occupied 9 islands, then Vietnam should also inherit those islands from France. Yeah.
Okay, since just now we talked a bit about how almost every major power in the world has a vested interest in South China Sea.
Actually, including Germany also.
Germany also.
They sent a ship to South China Sea way back to 120 years ago.
Yeah, alright, there you go, guys. So as a result of their colonial past involvements with the French Indochina and all that, almost all the major powers have a vested interest in the South China Sea dispute. Now, this also acts as a good segue into our next question. So how does the South China Sea dispute tie into broader global security concerns? Does it have anything to do with the rivalry between the West and China? What does that mean for the rest of the world, you know?
I can claim that the South China Sea dispute is the most complex multilateral claim or overlapping claim in the world. And nowhere you can find in the other part of the world that complex claim like that. So you cannot find. So this is the most complex claim in the world. The other one, second one, is the North Pole claim among Russia, America, Canada, and those Scandinavian countries. But they are not as complex as this one. And why? Because this South China Sea, it occupies a very important geographical location. It controls. If one who can control South China Sea, means that you can control the sea line of communication between the important East Asia regions and the rest of the world, definitely including Southeast Asia. And that's why it makes this region so strategically important, and why so many big powers they want to get involved also. So other than a geopolitical perspective, the other one is resources. Yeah, South China Sea is full of resources, definitely oil and gas. Yeah. A lot of countries right now, Malaysia, Brunei, Philippines, Vietnam, they're extracting and also exploring and exploiting oil and gas resources. And other than that, we people have already found that some more resources, for example, by fisheries, fishing resources, and also some untapped material, rare earth, things like that, all lie underneath the soil of the South China Sea. So South China Sea, coming from two perspective. One is geographical location. Second is resources, and another one is not related to a Southeast Asian country, but related to China alone. Why China emphasize or try to put the whole South China Sea into the sphere of influence? It's out of simply because of their strategic concern. When you look at the Chinese coastline, you will know that the Chinese coastline from the north part to the Taiwan part already covered and also contained by Japan and also Taiwan Navy forces. Only the southern part is open to Chinese Navy, and Chinese Navy has been known to use South China Sea as their nuclear submarine base and also as their operational base area also for them to conduct submarine training, strategic submarines, nuclear power, and also nuclear armed submarines. So that is the important region for them. In case a third world war happens, that will be the region for them to launch a submarine-based nuclear weapons against their foes. So that's why for China, it is unconceivable for them to lose the control of South China Sea. Otherwise, they will be wiped out by other countries when we have a third world war. So that's why they so emphasize. But this not related to Malaysia.
Understood.
Because we don't have nuclear weapons. We don't have this kind of mindset and this kind of concerns. That's why we don't care about. But for China, they care a lot about that. And that's why from time to time you can see that America, they send a lot of maritime patrol aircraft to South China Sea to detect and to pinpoint the locations of Chinese nuclear power submarines in South China Sea.
Understood. Okay. So it's quite obvious that the South China Sea represents like a global security concern because of its strategic location, the fact that China uses it as a base for their nuclear submarines. But of course, there's a party that doesn't like this, the US, as has been demonstrated by Dr. Lam here. But would you say that this situation regarding the US and China, does it resemble somewhat something like a new Cold War dynamic, or is it something different?
There are two disparity. The one disparity is happening right now. Western media and also Western think tanks, they are trying to hip up this dispute, South China Sea overlapping dispute, as a new Cold War front line. But when it comes to reality, you live in Malaysia, and some of our friends and students, they're coming from Sabah and Sarawak. Do they feel they live in Cold War?
No, they're quite comfortable.
Actually, they are living at the front line of the dispute.
This supposed Cold War.
Yeah. Those who live in Bintulu, actually opposite of Bintulu is James Shaw. James Shaw is only 80 kilometers away from Bintulu only. So that is the front line. And Chinese maritime Coast Guard, they always station their Coast Guard over there, near to James Shaw and also Peting Patinggi Ali, quite near to Bintulu only. Then you can ask people who live in Bintulu, do they feel they live in a Cold War? No, I can tell you, none of them, they feel they live in Cold War. So there is a disparity. So when you ask this question, it means that their Western propaganda is very strong. It's very powerful. But if you go to ask local people, no, I don't feel this thing. I don't even know that there is a Cold War here.
Understood.
Yeah, so as a scholar and academician, we have to differentiate propaganda, narrative, and the reality. Yeah.
Alright, so we've talked a bit about the role of narratives within this issue. It's quite obvious that, at least as far as the West are concerned, and as far as we are concerned, there's two different wars going on. You go over there and it's a very hyped-up issue. You come here and it's fine, it's normal, But that's what we're trying to explore, our side next. How, in your opinion, Doctor, how effective has ASEAN been in managing this dispute collectively? I'm sure you're aware that there are some differences. For example, the Philippines, they don't take the same routes we do. They sensationalize this issue. But as a collective, how effective would you say we have been in managing this dispute?
And first point is we managed to control this dispute in a peaceful situation. This is the first point from 2002 onwards until now. And second thing, there is no armed conflict took place. No armed conflict, and but there is and also kind of confrontation took place between China and also Philippines. And the first thing regarding the first point, why I said that, because the 2002 declaration of South China Sea code of conduct, declaration of the conduct, it help us to mitigate and to minimize the tense situation, and also it provided a guideline for all the involving parties to follow and also to react, which means that in case you guys are both navies or enforcement of ships encountered with each other, then you at least you have a guideline to follow, how you react, what you can do, what you cannot do. Certainly, so this has provide a very clear guideline. The thing that cannot do is to use armed methods, for example, to use guns, cannons or fires, things like that. No, it's prohibited. And second one is not only the 2002 Declaration of Code of Conduct, and also Treaty of Amity and Cooperation. Treaty of Amity and Cooperation, it is a treaty promoted by ASEAN, and we welcome and we call upon all the big powers to sign this Treaty of Amity and Cooperation. And after you sign this Treaty of Amity and Cooperation, in short TAC, then you are bound, you are legally binding not to use force in any dispute with ASEAN countries. China is one of the contracting party. But so these two instruments, 2002 Declaration of Code of Conduct and also TAC, it provides two important institutions to limit the behavior of all the claimants surrounding this South China Sea. So that is why that you will not see armed conflict or armed conflicts within this area. So because these two important instruments had already limited and prohibited the use of force in this sense. And second point is about what is the second point? It's about first is about peaceful, and second is about I couldn't recall.
It's fine. It's okay, Doctor.
Because after you sign this TAC, then you are committed abandoning the right to use force.
Okay. But do you think that explains a bit of the difference of the attitudes towards this issue between Malaysia and the Philippines, for example?
Because this doesn't actually explain different attitudes and behaviors, because we, Malaysia and Philippines, we are two completely different countries.
Understood.
So when it comes to political system, the strategic culture, as well as the historical background, we all are completely different. So in this sense, it resulted in we adopted a different foreign policy. So I wouldn't give the credit to these two important instruments. And we, Malaysia, we stay low profile due to several reasons. They stay high profile due to their own reasons. Definitely, for us, we can see that right now, Philippines and China, they are clashing with each other, using their coast guard to ram with each other, things like that, and using water cannons, things like that. But what you can see, after 2 years, this episode has lasted for 2 years until now, but you will wonder or you will be surprised that nobody died. Only one armed forces member from Philippines got hurt, sustained injury. That's it. He lost his thumbnail. He's lost his thumbnail. That's
Very
it.
serious.
But no people died, and no people even fire any single shot of bullet. No. People from both sides, China and Philippines, they refrain themselves from using lethal weapon. So this the success of these two important instruments. And also when you ask me whether ASEAN as a whole that have we achieved any success when dealing with this important issue, I think yes, in certain extent we managed to sign this 2002 Declaration of Conduct with China, which reframe all the behaviors of all the payments. And second thing, we managed to persuade China to become a contracting high power party of this TAC. They sign it. After you sign it, then you cannot say that no, I'm not bound or legal bound by this one on that. Then I can use force. No, you cannot say that. So that is why that China, you wouldn't see they deploy those lethal weapon in this dispute. And other than that, now we ASEAN are discussing COC, Code of Conduct with China. And as far as I'm concerned, this COC had already reached a third draft, and the third draft, I think more than that already agreed upon by Chinese side, and also ASEAN side. So they are negotiating on the same document, not on various different documents. Means that we are discussing the provisions, the rules set up in the same document. Just only some people don't agree with that particular provisions, not on the various versions of the provision. So this is already a big improvement. But however, like ASEAN is famous for being a coffee shop.
That's true. Yeah.
And we always use ASEAN way to achieve a consensus. And the way to achieve a consensus means that we will devote a lot of dedicated our time to reaching this consensus. We will not force any one of us to reach that consensus, because we want to have a full consensus on a very, very complex issue. We don't want have one party say that no, I don't agree upon on this particular provision, then it will create hoo-ha, things like that. We don't want that kind of situation from taking place. That's why we are willing to spend so much time. Actually, the negotiations started way back to nearly 20 years ago. So we have passed 20 years and we are still in the process of negotiating. But we ASEAN, we have the time, and we also are comfortable with that, because this ASEAN way. Since it is ASEAN way. Yeah,
Very
so
pragmatic.
we are okay. It's practical for ASEAN members.
So it comes down to pragmatism, you think?
Yeah, pragmatism. And also when it comes to Philippines, they are at odds with certain ASEAN members. And like our Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim, he had told his counterpart in Manila that you see, Malaysia adopted low-profile approach and also non-confrontational approach. Then you see that we are quite peaceful. But when you adopted some confrontational approach and also high-profile approach, you will have different results. So you can compare our Malaysian results and your result. Which one is better? And after you have kept up the whole issue from 2020, 2023, now it's 2025. So what have you gained from the whole confrontational event? You gain nothing.
They gained a lost thumbnail.
And they even lost control of one or two more islands. Yeah, they have lost one or two more. Sabina Reef, and also I couldn't remember the name. Yeah, they have lost it, and right now China is imposing more restrictions on Philippines Coast Guard when it comes to supplying essential goods to their warships station at I couldn't remember the name of the reef. Yeah. So, and then previously China, they didn't want to talk about it to make it public that they are restricting and imposing a certain administrative laws and also things like that on the Philippines. Now China, they make it public. So what did the Philippines you gain? it shows that from this 2 years of confrontation, it shows that China is, having more and more firm control on the islands. And your Philippines, even at least you have lost one, a small reef, something like that, to China's control.
So with all this in mind, right, with the failed example of the Philippines, in your opinion, our approach, i.e. the low profile diplomatic approach, is the most pragmatic approach, right? Is there such a thing as being too cautious with this?
Definitely, some people like Western media and some Western commentators, they claim that our Malaysian position is too cautious and too cowardly.
Cowardly.
Yeah,
yes.
too cowardly because you dare not to, confront China, and they encourage us to confront China way back to past few years ago, and there was one occasion, the so-called oil and gas exploration ship. It went from Malaysian side. It went to Southern Sea, and it was shadowed by Chinese Coast Guard. And then American, they offer help to Malaysia. They offer military assistance to Malaysia, and they even deploy their navy to do the near area close to that dispute area. And they were signaling to Malaysia that if you go confrontation to confront China, they will back up us. But we Malaysia, during that time, our foreign minister was Hishamuddin. He told the whole world that we have no issue with China, and we don't have any clash. We don't have any difficulties with China, and this is one of the polite way to reject U.S. invitation and offer. And after the whole thing, it come down, and what happened right now? Nothing happened.
Nothing happened.
So the approach we adopted, we have shown that we managed to de-escalate the tense situation.
So as a celebrated scholar, you agree with this? If you had the chance to change anything, you wouldn't. This is the best option that we have, is it? The low profile diplomatic approach.
Definitely, I will try to amend a little bit, because low profile sometimes is also equivalent to you sweep the whole problem under the carpet. You don't want to talk about that.
I see.
And our Malaysian governments, either our official or media and also agencies, they didn't even want to mention about this dispute, and they want to bottle it down. But for me, I think this is an overlapping claim that you cannot ignore in the near future, because it is very, very challenging, and also you need to solve it. So I saw it that last October, China and Malaysia, we held one of the first ever of South China Sea, not this negotiation, but a discussion on how to manage it, how to manage the situation. So it was the first ever discussion ever held between these two countries, and definitely it will give more room and also more inputs towards these two countries and their officers on how to manage it, and as well as to build trust among the officials. Because when it comes to confidence building, it will take a lot of time. For example, if I want to know you more, isn't it I have to talk to you more?
Yes.
Not only, in terms of the magnitude of discussion, but also time. I have to know you from your actions, and your actions will only be shown through time. So it will take maybe years to have a fruitful, kind of a result. So I think that is a very, very good first step. I foresee that I do hope that this discussion will continue. Then eventually we can forge our trust between this big power and also with our Malaysia side. And because we Malaysia, honestly, our entire navy is not even equivalent to their Southern Navy group also. Their one Southern Navy group is even bigger than the combination of whole Southeast Asian Navy. So there's no point for us to go to fight them now. Yeah.
No point in a confrontation, that's true.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, so we are heading towards the final part of the podcast. It was pretty hot earlier when we walked in. Some of us were sweating. Looked like we just came out of the South China Sea itself. We were swimming in it. But now I think the rain has stopped and the podcast has not yet stopped. We have some questions left that I find very interesting. And well, we already discussed, and you have already mentioned this with Akid providing some very interesting questions. And among your responses, and well, if I were to conceptualize your response, basically that this situation in South China Sea is tense, but we haven't fired a single bullet. It's a very interesting thing for a lot of people who watch how the sensationalization of the South China Sea in media is so prominent that you'd be surprised to hear no one actually died. You know, and also you attribute this among the factors to be the ASEAN way. But Dr. Lam, what are some of the possible future scenarios? Will this peace or this tense peace stay this way? And what will actually happen in the future? Will there be some will this standoff continue, be prolonged? Will there be compromise, or will there be any escalation? What do you think?
I think the situation will maintain like a current one for foreseeable future. I think within next 4 years, because we can only predict next 4 years, not more than 4 years, because every American presidential administration only lasts 4 years. So every president, they have their different approach. So within these 4 years, I guess the situation will maintain like what happened right now. Some parties, they try to escalate, but the claimants, I mean the claimants, the 5 countries, they will not escalate the whole thing, because they have the consensus not to escalate to an armed conflict. So I predict that within these 4 years, the situation will not be escalated into a real hot war, a real armed conflict. So, but I guess more diplomatic approach will be adopted. And why? Because it seems that Malaysia has taken one step forward to have a discussion with China, and Vietnam right now they are also having a bilateral discussion with China regarding this issue. And the Philippines, they refuse to do that, but they have dispatched the officials to Beijing to have a low-level official discussion with China. From Brunei side, we haven't heard any news from Brunei. If Brunei also takes some concrete step, then it means that all the relevant agreements discussing with China. So I hope that Brunei will also take some proactive step on this issue. But when I will hold say that Malaysia maintain a low profile in this dispute, actually Brunei maintain even a lower profile than Malaysia. They didn't even want to admit that they are one of the claimants. Malaysia admit that we told the whole world we are one of the claimants and don't infringe our sovereignty. But Brunei, they didn't even want to talk about this publicly. And up until today, if you go to internet and you Google, you can't even find a map, maritime map issued by Brunei. Malaysia have issued our own exclusive economic zone EEZ map, and our continental shelf map, and also our territorial sea map. You can find it easily on Google. But Brunei, you can't even find any single map from Brunei. Their authority didn't even want to issue this map, because the moment they issue their map, they have the map. That map was issued, if I'm not mistaken, it was issued in 1984 or 1986. They issue it, they have already produced it, but they just don't want to put it on website, because the moment you put it on website, you will see the shape of the overlapping, the form of the overlapping. So definitely it will, put the whole situation into a more chaotic manner. So they refuse to do that. So or in short, they even maintain an even lower profile than Malaysia. So in this sense, I hope that Malaysia and also Brunei and also other countries, we can think about this issue more rationally. No one wants armed conflict. No one wants. No one want people. No one want people get hurt or die. And also I got a message to all the accommodations and also those officials that yes, when you look at the media and propaganda, you will find that wow, this issue is very tense and the situation is like some big thing is going to happen. But if you go to ask local, Bintulu, Kota Kinabalu, you ask local, do you know about South China Sea dispute? I can guarantee you that none of them will tell you that the situation over there is tense, and people will also tell you they don't know about this issue at all also, because nothing happened. So the disparity between the reality and narrative, we being an academician, we have to manage to be able to differentiate, and also officials, you need to differentiate also, not to be influenced by those influencers or commentators, things like that. For example, like currently we have one think tank set up by the United States, Sea Light think tank, and that Sea Light was sponsored by US Navy. So the moment you heard that think tank is sponsored by US Navy, what do you expect? Being an important organ of US armed forces, do you expect peace from this think tank? No. So this, when I look into this think tank, Sea Light, they are just keep on mentioning about future arms conflict, things like that. And also at one point of time last year, this Sea Light, they tried to to stoke up the fear from Malaysia, and they display several cases from Malaysia, and they try to ask Malaysians, how come you guys are so calm? How come you guys are not go to confront China? Why? Please go to confront them. This is their message. So they try to stoke up the kind of fear, and also the kind of warmongering message to us. So if you go to do a little bit homework, you will find out that wow, this Sea Light is sponsored by US Navy. So if it is sponsored by US Navy, why should we listen to them? So what's the point? We should listen to our own people, our own analysis. We should be independent and free, and we should adopt and also implement the policy which benefit us the most. We should pursue our national interest, not US Navy interest or Chinese interest also. Yeah.
So those are very insightful inputs about the possible things that are going to happen, and I believe that we, due to the time constraints that we have, and we're gonna be doing some questions, 2 more questions actually, and we will keep the answer brief. We'll try to keep the answers brief. So earlier you mentioned about Malaysia and our position and whatnot. A lot of this question was elaborated by you on Akid's part. So what role can smaller states like Malaysia or Vietnam play to shape or influence the regional security architecture?
Okay, for example, like we cannot, being a small state like us, we cannot influence a big power. Impossible. It had never happened before. Unless you create some kind of difficulty to big powers. For example, you go to launch like a September 11 type of attack against America, then you will change the whole scenario. But Malaysia is not going to do that. So if you want to use a peaceful manner to influence them, it's impossible to do that. But we believe in multilateralism. We believe in joint force. We believe in joint force that can influence the big power to think twice about their behavior, their actions. So Malaysia and Vietnam and also Indonesia and also ASEAN, we should come under one auspice, which is ASEAN, and we use this as a platform or channel to talk to the big power. So when we use this big platform to talk to big powers, certainly they will listen to us. Maybe they will not do things according to our advice, but at least they listen to us, at least. Yeah, for example, like if Malaysian or other small powers, they want to go to Washington, they want to see the President of the United States personally, I can tell you, the US President, they will not entertain us. But if you go to US, Washington, to tell them that we all ASEAN Prime Minister want to see you, they will arrange a special meeting to see ASEAN political leaders. They will do that. But for example, like after our Prime Minister Ahmad Ibrahim assumed the office from 2023 until today, unfortunately, he couldn't even meet Joe Biden personally, and also Donald Trump. Why? Because for the big power like the US, they tend to ignore small power like us. They tend to overlook us. But if we go there in a joint force under the auspice of ASEAN, they will not overlook us. Why I raise America? Because China have seen us many times, either in a personal capacity like a prime minister, ministerial capacity, or as a bloc also. China has already seen us many times. The problem right now is with the America.
I see. All right, we're gonna have to cut it short. It wasn't really nice talking to you, Doctor. For the rest of us, we can, for the audience, you might not have the opportunity to talk to Dr. Lam, but for us, we have all the time to talk to you, sir. So thank you very much for insightful observation. We had more questions, but we have to cut it short here. And thank you for coming over. Thank you for spending time talking to us and for taking time off of your day to talk to us. And yeah, so that's it for our podcast today. Once again, it is such a pleasure to have Dr. Lam here, and also a pleasure to have Izakid's first appearance on the IRSOC podcast.
I have something want to add on.
Yeah.
Just I really hope the United States to stay in this region also. I mean the South China Sea or Southeast Asia also. We cannot afford to lose America actually.
I see.
Whatever. I mean. US is an important technological hub, powerhouse, economic powerhouse, and also when it comes to military capacity building, we need America a lot. So we need actually for all the South China, East Asian countries, we need America. We really need them. But the America we need is a constructive America. I mean, yeah.
So yeah, interesting. Thank you, Doctor. You'd love to have America to stay in this region. We'd love to have you to stay in University of Malaya, and we'd love for our audiences to stay tuned for the next episodes that are coming. So thank you guys for watching once again. Thank you, Doctor, and thank you, Izakid, as well. And
thank you, the host. Yeah.
All right. So that's all from us. Thank you very much, and see you in the next episode.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you for watching.